Right.
Professor Yogendra Singh, who is beside me, I have great honor to sit beside him, and Professor Ruplal. Sir, we always look up to you. So, without much ado, I would request and just a brief introduction.
Sure, I can tell without any. So yeah, I don't think he needs any introduction to this audience, mostly from department.
Yes,
They are going to
Thank you, Alok and Anju. In fact, they were not ready to invite me for the lecture. It's they wanted me to be a chairperson, but then I had put a condition that I will be the chairperson provided you allow me to speak for. क्योंकि रिटायरमेंट के बाद ना दिमाग में बहुत सारी चीजें होती हैं, तो कहीं निकाल लिए बंदे ही नहीं है, तो मैं but anyway, so thank you Alok and Anju permitting me to be here and thank you very much. At least थोड़ा हॉल तो भर गया है. I'm speaking on a different topic. In fact, Alok and Anju, they have kept a title pharmaceutical and nutraceutical for cancer and other chronic diseases. Yogendra, other chronic diseases, इन्होंने एक भी नहीं बोला कल. Everybody is speaking on cancer. Tuberculosis के ऊपर बहुत कम. So that's why I thought my topic rightly fits into the program.
Yes.
So I'm speaking on, but this is a work of nearly 35 years, right? I will tell you so that's what you see actually. We started sometime in 1988 and still continuing this work. Have not yet reached to the logical conclusion to commercialize the analog that we have produced after having worked for more than 30 years. So that's a, will not really let you know, but Yogendra, since he is there, so it's his slide actually. He keeps on telling that by the time I will be out from this lecture, around 150 people will die because of tuberculosis. So that is one problem because of the widespread, but the other problem with tuberculosis is the appearance. अबे जाना नहीं है किसी ने भी. मैंने मुझे बंद कर दो, बड़ी मुश्किल से लाया वो. जाने अबे यही रहना बेटे तुम शर्ट पहन के बिल्कुल ना जाने. Right. इतने भी चले गए तो फिर हमें बहुत नाराज हो. Right. So the problem is with MDR and XDR microbacterial strains actually. The normal therapy that is being used is rifampicin plus isoniazid, ethambutol and pyridinamide. It's a combination. But among all these drugs, rifampicin is the primary drug for curing tuberculosis. So without spending much time on giving you the introduction, that's what actually the problem with the resistant strain. But what could be the problems? What could be the solution? Solution हो सकता है जो योगेंद्र सिंह काम कर रहे हैं, development of vaccines. You understand primarily how Mycobacterium tuberculosis causes pathogenesis and interact with the host. So that is one thing, but that is also very difficult. Probably Yogendra knows इतना मुश्किल है कि अब तक vaccine बनी है, but they are not that effective actually. So the other thing is then you go for screening, come up with the newer drugs, which is also very laborious time. It costs millions of dollars to put up a drug into the market. So it's also not very easy actually to look for bacteria which can produce antibiotic that should be effective again this thing. The other this thing is then using combinatorial approach to manipulate the organism that produces rifampicin B in order to produce rifampicin analog. So we started working on this particular aspect sometime in the year 1988 when I was a postdoc. Now everybody speaks, योगेंद्र कभी इसकी बात ही नहीं करते हैं. हमने दिखाया भी इनको कि यार माइक्रोबैक्टीरियम को छोड़ दो, ये ऑर्गेनिज्म बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. The one that produces wonder drug rifampicin B, semi-synthetic derivatives of which are being used for curing tuberculosis and also number of mycobacterial infections. So that is the organism. इसका थोड़ा सा नाम बड़ा मुश्किल है. एक बार मेरी इंट्रोडक्शन में भी पढ़ा ही नहीं जाता तो मैं इसको काट ही देता हूँ. Amygdalotopsis mediterraneae. It's a actinobacterium. Thank you, sir. इधर ये आपका सीट. Right. So ये organism is the one that produces rifamycin B and semi-synthetic derivatives. Not the rifamycin B is directly being used for curing tuberculosis, but its semi-synthetic derivatives are being used for curing tuberculosis and leprosy. So by itself, the rifamycin B, it doesn't have much antibacterial activity. आप देख सकते हैं वो देखो प्लेट में बाहर rifamycin B because of the presence of naphthalene, this chromophore, it gives a brown color to the when it diffuses out. So it comes into the medium, right? And its synthesis in the organism. The starter unit is 3-amino-5-hydroxybenzoic acid, to which are added 2 acetates and 9 propionates, and then cyclization that lead to the formation of this rifamycin, which the organism itself was discovered sometime in 1957. And its property to produce this antibiotic was again realized in the year 1959. Now the derivatives of rifamycin were put into the market in the year 1969, and it was that time turned out to be a wonder drug actually. Probably people thought that it will control the. So that's what I'm showing over here. Rifamycin B doesn't have the antibacterial activity much, but its semi-synthetic derivatives, rifamycin, rifa-S, rifa-SB, rifabutene, they are being used after converting chemically rifamycin B into these. So there are nearly 6 derivatives which chemists could produce, but beyond that, it was not possible to modify rifamycin B to produce more analogs. इतना ही हो सकता था chemistry से. That is what chemists told me, right? So then, it's a very good producer. Lupin बनाता है, and this organism produces 24 over the years. Strain improvement program led to the improvement of this strain, and it produces around 24 gram per liter of rifamycin. So बहुत अच्छा lupin के लिए ये business है which they actually produce in India. But I mentioned that इतना MDR और SDR strain होने की वजह से there is a very serious problem. And many people, in fact, when we published our first paper, they telephoned me कि आप ये जो बोल रहे हैं analog ये दे सकते हैं हमें. And there are people who cannot be cured probably. इससे पहले आगे Govindar का lecture होता तो आपको थोड़ा सा अच्छा. So it's a, but we wanted to manipulate an organism which was very difficult. E. coli में बहुत काम आसान होता है, but ये जो commercially available strain है इनमें बहुत मुसीबत है actually to develop gene cloning methods, cloning vectors, and negotiate with the organisms. So that was the difficulty. But starting from 1988, what we did actually, we developed cloning vectors first for how to negotiate with this particular organism. Developing a cloning vector that time used to be very difficult. So we isolated a plasmid from another strain closely related. Its origin of replication was put into it, and then finally a prototype vector was developed which was also not free from limitations for this particular organism to understand how to do the transformations in this particular bacterium. So after that, we've actually brought these, when I was doing my postdoc, brought these strains and everything because nobody was interested to work with it to Department of Zoology, and started working, and we did the improvement and developed a series of cloning vectors which were, you can see actually the marker genes that were put up into it. But what was there after some working for 3-4 years, we could publish one paper. The satisfying thing was that the editor congratulated us, and reviewer wrote actually, normally editor wrote, normally reviewers do not congratulate, they are very nasty. बहुत बुरे comments देते हैं, आप सभी को तो पता ही है ना? But here the reviewer congratulated and editor wrote that normally they don't congratulate, but I echo it actually was a difficult work that you people did. And finally, so that's how the first paper was published, right? Then we standardized the protocol by using these vectors, how to do the transformation by using electroporation. Now, after having done this work for almost 15 years, then we wanted to negotiate with the organism in order to produce rifamycin analogs. The organism produces rifamycin. No, all the important, please, no, all important antibiotics like lovastatin, rapamycin, jitne bhi important, they are produced by actinobacteria, especially not streptomyces, but other actinobacteria, and these antibiotics, they belong to a group which we call it as type 1 PKS, type 1 polypeptide synthase gene cluster that makes these antibiotics. So it's again a very complicated and complex system. दो तरह के polypeptides मिलते हैं. You get polypeptides, even pigments also, there are type of polypeptides. One is, we call it as iterated, that is single enzyme, it leads to the condensation of propionate or acetate together and forms a chain. Or this is a complex system where you have actually a multi-enzymatic complex and then multifunctional proteins, then modules, each module adding one propionate or acetate unit, and that's how the chain elongation takes place. So this particular rifamycin, it belongs to type 1. I'll not get into details, but I just wanted to show you this multifunctional enzymatic complex. It's around, in the case of rifamycin, it is around 90 kb. Protein, cluster which makes this protein, and it makes multifunctional proteins, and multifunctional proteins have got modules 1, 2, 3, 4. Each module, the starting unit brings the starter, say 3 amino 5-hydroxybenzoic acid, to which acetate or propionates are added, and then chain elongation, and subsequently cyclization and rifamycin is being formed. Now the module, just why I am giving you this introduction, because I wanted to bring to the topic where we have been working. Now each module consists of AT domain, acyl transferase that decides whether acetate should come in or propionate, right? And then ketosynthase brings the condensation, keto group formation between acetate or acetate and propionate. And then you have ACP. It acts as a sort of platform where this entire reaction is being carried out, sort of tether. And the components of the rest of DH, KR, ER, they decide to what extent keto group should be further reduced actually. So they are optional, not really. And then offloading domain. The chain is offloaded and then subsequently processed, and they, not rifamycin, any type of erythromycin or rapamycin, they are being formed. So ये इसमें, that's rifamycin, I said, इसमें 10 modules हैं. Second and the 9th module, they add acetate, 3 amino 5-hydroxybenzoic acid, to which propionate, 9 propionate and 2 acetates are being added. So second and the 9th module, they add acetate, and rest of the module they add propionate, and then condensation, cyclization, and finally rifamycin B is produced by the organism, which has very little antibacterial activity. Only the semi-synthetic derivatives are having the actual activity which are being used in the market, right? Beauty system का ये है कि आप मॉड्यूल को निकाल दो तो एक एसिटेट कम हो जाएगा. There will be one acetate less in the molecule that will be, it is accepted by the organism. Or you can reduce, you can knock down the this DH, ER, there will be less reduction in the keto group. Or you can swap, actually. So all sort of things can be done, and the organism accept these changes. It is already known in the literature with model compounds, but not with glycolatopsis. So we thought, why not do now? Because by then, rifamycin biosynthetic cluster was available. We had the cloning vectors. We know how to negotiate with this particular organism. And then we thought, actually, why not to swap one of the 80 acyl transferase domain that adds propionate with that of acetate, with the hope that the molecule that will be formed eventually would be having one methyl group less than the rifamycin, actual rifamycin B. So that was the strategy which we planned. You can see here, right in sometime 1990. कि हम ऐसा करना है. So you can see actually 86 we wanted to swap it with RAP 82. RAP 82 adds acetate and RIF 86 adds propionate. So the molecule बनेगा that would be something like 20 methyl group नहीं होगा इसमें. हम analog, that's what I was saying कि analogs बनाने का concept देना चाहते थे. so that you don't have to do screening for better antibiotics, don't have to really wait for the vaccines to be developed, but let's have more effective analogs, give a system actually. So that's what we decided to do sometime in 1990 or 1998. So जो compound बनना था वो ये बनना था, and then what we did was ये जो करते हैं ना homologous recombination, इसमें थोड़ा यार तकलीफ होगी लेकिन मैंने बोलना है ना, बहुत दूर से आया हूँ नोएडा से। जब आप स्वैपिंग करनी होती है ना तो आप ब्लैंकिंग रीजन ले लेते हो, PCR1 and PCR, so that's how we did actually and made a construct containing 86 के plants, उसके बीच हमने डाल दिया 82, and then we did the transformation in the organism. It was difficult for transformation करना, और all my colleagues they know it, student frustrated, okay वैसे ही transformation दे देता है, या if you don't actually you keep on waiting तो mutant ही appear हो जाते हैं. So hundreds of such mutants they appeared, but finally when we did the analysis after some 10 to 15 years, after having 10-15 students आप बता रहा हूँ, उन्होंने फर्जी ही दे रखे थे हमें, वो भी क्या करें, बड़े परेशान थे स्टूडेंट, परेशान होते हैं ना, मेरा पेपर छपे, मेरे का रिजल्ट है, but this was a very difficult problem. So I took all those clones to US to do the analysis. बड़ा खुश हो के बच्चे तो चले गए PhD करके, अब क्रेडिट मैं ले लूँगा, और पता लगा सारी, भगवान ने भी बोला ऐसे नहीं कर सकता है, सारे स्पूरियस निकले, none of them produced any analog. So then we got a new strain of hemicolatopsis where you could visualize actually the production of rifamycin. हमने जब सिंगल क्रॉसओवर होना है तो उसमें कोई रिफामाइसिन नहीं बननी है, ऐसे क्लोन सेलेक्ट करने and then go for this thing. So that is what we did, and finally थोड़ा टाइम कम है, I will so finally actually used that strategy, got single crossovers and then confirmed them and went for double crossovers where 82 would have swapped 86, right? चलो एक आ गया तो एक चला गया, गुड, दो आ गए। तो ये कंफर्म कर लिया हमने कि 86 जो है 82 से by sequencing हुआ है, hybridization किया, and then again we have hundreds of such clones. And then we again did the LCMS, करने के बाद 3 क्लोन हमें मिले, which rifamycin का B का molecular weight is 754, but then the analog should have produced one methyl group, means its molecular weight should have been 740, right? So you can see here 3 clones, 3, 34, 36 producing rifamycin B as well as the analog, but that happened in the year 2012. And almost some 15 or 18 students worked on it. बहुत अभी भी जानने देते हैं कि you have put that's what actually them on a very difficult, and we did actually derivatization, we did NMR to really confirm कि भाई methyl group missing है कि नहीं, right? So this is actually, you see the NMR report reflected that yes, methyl pendant is really missing, and we have produced the actual analog. And in order to, so this happened in the year 2012, and really we were very happy and celebrated it. But then, by then, when we wanted to communicate the paper, nobody would have accepted the paper unless you show the activity of this particular compound against mycobacteria. So we started looking into and did the bioassay. Fortunately, we found out that this compound is effective, but then it should be more effective than what we are anticipating. So we purified this particular compound. That time it was very difficult actually. आप लोग shake flask में करते हैं ना. I will show you some slides. Moment you go to the fermenter, things are completely different, which I myself did not know. हम छोटी-छोटी फ्लास्क में हिलाते रहते हैं, उनको कुछ नहीं बनता है. Even we could not get actually in milligrams the amount that was needed even to do the analysis. So with great difficulty, then by then हम ये भी करते रहते हैं रिसर्च में, जो लोग जरूरी है उनसे फ्रेंडशिप, जो जरूरी नहीं है उनसे लड़ लेते हैं, बट जो जरूरी है उनसे दोस्ती लगा लेते हैं. हम योगेंद्र से दोस्ती लगाया कि भाई अब टेस्ट कर दो that whether it is effective with resistant strains of mycobacterium or not, because that would have been a great thing actually had it been better than the rifamycin B that normal organism used to produce. So he actually helped us to outsource it to a company where we got actually, he only suggested that you can get from open source drug discovery, say resistant strains. So we got the resistant strains and company tested and found out that yes, the compound that the derivatives are something around, something around 50 times more effective. लेकिन वो बहुत, and then we also did, कई बार जब किस्मत रिसर्च में अच्छी होती है ना तो अपने आप चीज़ें चलती हैं, जब भाग्य काम नहीं, वो रखा ही कंपाउंड ना क्रिस्टलाइज हो गया, नहीं तो क्रिस्टलाइजेशन करना तो ये सारे प्रोटीन वाले इतना दुखदाई है, अंजू है ना, बड़े ट्यूब में अपने आप ही हो गया कि यार अब और दुखी नहीं करना है. And then that crystal structure was again found out, yes, really methyl group is missing from the 28th position. And then we also, my colleague actually in US did some binding assay with a RNA polymerase and found out that it has better binding ability as compared. So then this paper we published after how many years? Some 10, 20, 25 साल के बाद 18 बच्चे लगे रहे, गालियाँ देते रहे, एक पेपर छपा JBC, right? But it was a very difficult work. So that is, but then you see after some 20 years we got same SID comments जैसे पहले मिले कि भाई congratulations, you have again tackled a very difficult. But मुझे पता था जब बच्चे मुझे गालियाँ देते, right? And then अखबार में भी आ गया. फिर अगर अखबार में भी आ जाए सब कुछ तो लोग बोलते हैं झूठ है, ये ऐसे करता है रूपलाल ना. पर योगेंद्र को पता था क्योंकि इन्होंने, तभी मैंने इनको ले लिया, तेरे पे लोग ज़्यादा विश्वास करते हैं, मेरे ऐसी तैसी करते हैं. सो देन एक्चुअली इनको पता था कि ठीक है, बट ये भी कहते थे कि आगे नहीं ले जा पाओगे आप, यहाँ तक तो पहुँच गए. मैंने कहा नहीं देखूंगा. वी गॉट द पेटेंट. तो दो चीज़ें हमने एक कंसेप्ट दे दिया कि स्वैपिंग डिलीशन से इस ऑर्गेनिज्म में भी एनालॉग बना सकते हैं, और दूसरा हमने एनालॉग दी. बट ये बाय द टाइम ये सब कुछ हुआ मैं रिटायर होने वाला था. मतलब देखो अब विडम्बना, इतना काम किया और रिटायरमेंट आ गई, है ना. 15 सितंबर को सारा खुशी सब कुछ छोड़ के निकला मैं, लैब बंद. उसके बाद लेकिन क्लोन मैंने जेल में डाल दी थी, उनको नहीं जान दी, उनको मैं ले गया. आई मीन बिकॉज इतना काम मन नहीं कर रहा था मैं अभी कोलाटॉप्सिस को छोड़ दूँ, है ना. सो देन we actually how to take these leads further. इतना काम करने के बाद, इतने बच्चे sacrifice करने के बाद कैसे आगे चलना है. Then we sat with couple of my young students, हमने सोचा एक कंपनी शुरू कर दी. वो भी बड़ी दुखदायी कहानी है. कंपनी लगता है बहुत, लोग पीछे से कहते हैं इसके पास में स्टार्टअप है ना. वो बड़ा दुखदायी है. गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया इज एक्चुअली हेल्पिंग यू बट इट्स नॉट दैट इजी. तो हमने फिर एक कंपनी शुरू की, फिक्स डी प्राइवेट लिमिटेड, जिसमें अपार्ट फ्रॉम डूइंग मेनी अदर थिंग्स वी वांटेड टू टेक दीज लीड्स टू लॉजिकल कंक्लूजन. जब तक जिंदा है छोड़ना नहीं है, और क्लोन हमने रख लेने ताकि बाकी और काम करते रहें. बाई टू अदरवाइज रिटायरमेंट के टाइम सुपरवाइजर का जो सारा सामान होता है वो भी पता नहीं कहाँ चला जाता है. बैक्टीरिया भी इतना काम किया होता है. सो put 4 of these students, very brilliant students who wanted actually to take up this from the startup. We got a grant and then हमने पहला ये करना था कि let us demonstrate that we can produce another analog. And we knew actually what could be the second analog जिसमें reduction कम हो और hydroxyl group हो where RNA polymerase can. So ये कंपनी में हमने फिर शुरू किया DH10. I will not, same strategy used. We actually inactivated this dehydratase domain of module 10, replaced it with DH1 of module 2. उससे क्या होना था? 17 hydroxy, all sort of things, difficult work, bioassay, and finally you see here it produces 17. When you analyze these clones, it produces 17 hydroxy rifamycin B, which turned out to be more effective than the. But ये सारा फिर अभी हमारा, and then when we got the analysis done, our collaborator in the US, he analyzed and found out कि इस organism में what happens actually produces 17 hydroxy rifamycin B, and that automatically actually spontaneously gets converted to SV or to S, And then there is a tautomerism. So there are nearly 6 analogs that are being produced spontaneously within the organism, but they are more effective. We have done preliminary study and we found out that this particular analog, the second one which we have produced, is even better than the first one that we had produced. So then everybody now, in order to take it to a logical conclusion, we are asked actually कि भी इसमें analog कितना बनता है, rifamycin B कितना बनता है. So all sort of things, it's around 30% is the analog which is being. We did LCMS, we did other assays and found out. So this commercialization के लिए ले जाने के लिए आपको प्रोडक्शन कंपनी ये बोलती है, पेपर में तो आप लिख दो जो लिखना है, कोई नहीं चल जाता है, बट कंपनी जी को जब वो दे डोंट बिलीव इन पेपर्स, जैसे हमें प्रोडक्शन दिखाओ कितनी है, सो दैट दे आल्सो वर्क ऑफ इकोनॉमिक्स. So then these strains we took to the fermenter with the help of Imtech Chandigarh. We grew them from the startup, did all sort of things and then took it to the fermenter. अब हैरान हो गए कि fermenter में वो analysis वगैरह तो हम करते रहते हैं, purification सब कुछ. But if you see actually what happens in the fermenter, ये देखो कितना rifamycin बन रहा है. शेक फ्लास्क में जो आप लैब में करते हो, तो आप सभी के लिए जो काम कर रहे हो ना, इमीडिएटली अगर कुछ करना है तो फर्मेंटर में जाओ, नहीं तो आपको अमाउंट एनालिसिस तक नहीं मिलता है. सो दैट इज व्हाट यू सी. ये जो सारा इतना थिक बना है, फ्रॉम 20 मिलीग्राम the production went up to 700 milligram in 15 liter fermenter of both these analogs, 24 decimethyl rifamycin B and 17 hydroxy. देखो पीली हो गई है फ्लास्क, इतना खुशी हुआ मैं कि इतनी रिफार्मेशन बन रही है एक टाइम. सो ऑल दिस एनालिसिस इज बीइंग डन. We also did actually the kinetics to see what time actually the organism starts producing rifamycin B. Then protocol also was very cumbersome which we were following, but then we came to know that you can follow a simple protocol in order to do. But in order to go far now, we have through this company we have big grant. Now we are getting CBD grant in order to take it to upscale the production further in larger fermenter, and then after upscaling we need to again do in mouse models, we need to do the testing, and after having done then clinical trial. So इतना आसान नहीं है, पता नहीं जिंदगी में कई बार ऐसे ही लगता है कहीं इधर दर्द हो गई कहीं इधर दर्द हो गई, कब निकल जाए. But yes, finally these are the things which we need to do in the next round, actually the secondary grant which we are getting. But we are very happy actually that loans सारे ठीक हैं, सब कुछ वही कर रहे हैं जो डिपार्टमेंट में कर रहा था. नाराज नहीं हुए जब इनको हम घर के ऊपर लैब बना दी और वहाँ शुरू कर दिया, मतलब जैसे कि ठीक है तुम लगे रहो इनके साथ. सो दैट्स व्हाट एक्चुअली इज द सिचुएशन एंड वर्क ऑफ नियरली. एंड बहुत सारे लोग, मैंने बताया ना कितने स्टूडेंट दुखी हुए. यू सी एक्चुअली हम योगेंद्र हेल्प अस, देन नाउ Patni फ्रॉम मिनेसोटा, ही इज वेरी हैप्पी एंड एनालाइजिंग, ही इज अ केमिस्ट. तो आपको भी अगर कुछ करना हो ना, बहुत सारे आप लोग ये सोचते हो अकेले बैठ के कर लेना सब, जब तक आप केमिस्ट के साथ बायोलॉजी वाला या और किसी के साथ एसोसिएट नहीं होंगे, दूसरा बंदा कंफर्म नहीं करेगा, आपका पेपर बहुत अच्छा नहीं बनेगा. सो वी हैव अ वेरी गुड केमिस्ट हु रियली वर्क्स विद रिफार्मेसिन एंड ही इज वेरी हैप्पी. बट देन ये देखो सारे स्टूडेंट जब फोटो ली थी, बहुत सारे तो नाराज हैं, जो खुश हैं उस टाइम एनालॉग बन गया. थैंक यू.
All six analogs are secreted out.
They are, no, the derivative is, yeah, they are all secreted out. The rifamycin B, 17 hydroxy B and 24, they are secreted out. Then out spontaneously they get, otherwise we have to convert them by chemically, but some of them they also get converted. So spontaneously, सारा medium में आ जाता है.
Medium.
Yes, that is the advantage. They are secreted.
So rifampicin resistance is a major problem with the patients who get infected with the drug-resistant bacteria. So for those patients, if this analog is active, then it
But
will
we
be
have
very
now
helpful.
series, those things कुछ तो अपने आप ही बन रहे हैं.
Yeah.
सर वो आपने
He has gone actually. ये गिंदर और वो हमारी स्टार्टअप देखते रहते हैं, घर के ऊपर है।
वो हमारा
पर बहुत कुछ मत बता
हमारा
देना,
फोटो
चलो बोलो।
जानबूझ के नहीं लगा है।
यस, फोटो।
क्रेडिट देना नहीं चाहिए।
मैंने सोचा तुम नहीं आओगे।
इसलिए मेरा ये टैग भी लेके आके चेयर पे लगा दिया।
So already
एक क्वेश्चन ऑन सीरियस नोट सर, वो जो आपने माइक्रोबैक्टीरियम ट्यूबरकुलोसिस का जो आपने टेस्ट किया,
हाँ,
तो उसमें और रिजल्ट क्या है?
उसमें रिजल्ट 50 टाइम बेटर था।
हाँ नहीं, वो
जोन ऑफ इनहिबिशन से नहीं था।
हाँ।
उसमें ये जो एक इंस्ट्रूमेंट होता है जिसमें यू ऐड एनालॉग, यू ऐड द माइक्रोबैक्टीरियम, इफ इट ग्रोस देन कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड इज प्रोड्यूस्ड एंड कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड इज सेंस्ड बाय द इंस्ट्रूमेंट। तो दैट वाज द, उसको क्या, मैं भूल गया क्या बोलते हैं, बुढ़ापा भी आ गया ना। आई शोड दैट स्लाइड बट डिड नॉट एक्सप्लेन इट। इट वाज नॉट, जोन ऑफ इनहिबिशन में थोड़ा सा क्वांटिटेटिव नहीं हो पाता है, कई बार बच्चे ने ज़्यादा डाल दिया, इनहिबिशन दिखा दिया। बट देन दैट वाज द टेस्ट विच प्रेमा बायोटेक फ्रॉम गुरुग्राम दे डिड। बट अब ये सारा हमने जाना है, दूसरे एनालॉग का भी करना है। सो वी आर प्लानिंग नाउ to do it on a bigger scale in mouse model, probably next.
So sir, naturally also these analogs are being made by the.
नहीं, हम स्वैपिंग जीन क्लस्टर के साथ फिडल किया।
Okay.
नेचुरली तो बी बनता है,
हाँ,
लेकिन हमने उस क्लस्टर को कम करके, ज़्यादा करके कि हाइड्रोक्सिल ग्रुप ऐड हो जाए या एक मिथाइल कम बन जाए, तुम एसिटेट डाल दो प्रोपेनेट की जगह। वो जब स्वैपिंग करनी है तो बड़ी एक्यूरेट होनी चाहिए, फ्रेम शिफ्ट नहीं होना चाहिए, अदरवाइज इट विल नॉट बी एक्सप्रेस्ड। दैट्स व्हाई इट टुक लॉट ऑफ टाइम। अभी भी स्केल अप वही 15 लीटर में चलेगा, 15 में। नाउ वी आर नेक्स्ट ग्रांट में 100 में जाना है, एंड देन it's we are likely to get in a week's time another grant actually where we are now associating with Imtech Chandigarh. They have 500 liter का भी fermenter, so we need to go to. इतना आसान नहीं है ना, फर्मेंटर जिनके पास है वो धूप दाप करके उसको अंदर रखते हैं, जाने नहीं देखते। तो थोड़ा आपको रात को जाना पड़ता है, दोस्ती बनाना पड़ती है। तो रिसर्च इज नॉट ओनली ये जो आप सोचते हो कि लैब में बैठ के ना आपको बैठ के चाय पिलानी है, योगेंद्र को बहुत बार बुलाता हूँ, मलिका को बुलाता हूँ, बहुत सारी चीज़ें आपको करना पड़ती हैं। अंजू को बुलाया था, ये नहीं आई थी, हाँ ना। निकल जाएगी जिंदगी, बच जाएंगे 10 साल में जो मर रहे हैं, बनेगा 10 साल में कोई भी एंटीबायोटिक डालो, बट देन वी हैव अ सिस्टम। तो मैं दे दूंगा क्लोन और बनाते रहो।
नहीं, जैसे दूसरा एनालॉग है,
हाँ,
तो अगर एक में आ गया
दूसरा डलेगा,
नहीं दूसरे में भी आ जाएगा या नहीं?
आ जाएगा। 10-10 साल का टाइम में एवरी एंटीबायोटिक बैक्टीरिया भी ना, वो भी हमारे से चला के आप कुछ भी कर लो, उनको भी 10-1 साल लगते हैं, कहते देख लेते हैं तुम्हें।
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for such a wonderful talk. Now I request Professor Yogen
Then
Singh
who?
to facilitate Professor
अच्छा,
Islam
एक मिनट।
with a moment.
ऐसे लगेगा रुपया